Good morning. Time now 8 a.m. On the Friday, October the 6th, 2023 in Japan Standard Time. Welcome to another edition of the World Bank Tokyo Online Morning Seminar. My name is Koichi Mori. I am Senior External Affairs Officer of the World Bank based in Tokyo. We organize these online morning seminars to introduce the latest World Bank report to be presented by authors of such report, happen to be the World Bank economists and specialists. This morning, we are featuring the latest report titled Global Seaweed New and Emerging Market Report 2023, which was released earlier this year. We have two speakers who actually are the lead authors of the report.
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and really do appreciate the opportunity to present the new report, new work that we're doing in this whole space of aquaculture, aqua business, seaweed. It's a very exciting area, and I'm very pleased to have my colleague Harrison Carissa, who will be joint presenting with me, and our knowledge partner, Vivek Prasad, who helps us incredibly on putting all of our work together. So let me just kick off by giving the audience a bit of an overview on how at the World Bank, we're really trying to develop a whole new focus and a work stream around aqua business investment. So we set up what we call the Aqua Invest platform. It's funded by Pro Blue Trust Fund, which is a trust fund which really obviously focuses on oceans. It focuses on aquaculture and lots of the environmental and social areas around this whole space to do with marine ecology, etc. So we're very excited to receive a grant from them to undertake this work. And I'll be very brief in explaining the components of what we're doing, because we're going to have a lot of new products coming along. So I hope you can appreciate this could be the first of a series of products that we present to the Tokyo audience. This Aqua Invest platform, we're very fortunate that as we built it, we've got the agricultural and food global practice, which I work on leading, with a very strong technical support from the environment practice that Harrison will introduce. That's the ENB, the Environment and Blue Economy practice, that Harrison is the senior fisheries expert. We also work with the International Finance Corporation, bringing the private sector. And I want to stress to the audience here, there's a lot going on in our space. We do call it aqua business. The World Bank is an investor in the public sector, but we also look to mobilize private sector resources. We're also linking with the Global Environment Facility, WWF, FAO as partners within this platform. And also to stress, we got the KWPF logo there. If you're not familiar with that, that is the Korean World Bank Partnership Facility, which is also joined, and we'll be talking about some extra funding they put into the seaweed space. So let's kick off from this opening slide. Next, Vivek. So over to you. So let's just look at this sector. I want to sort of explain that we look at aquaculture as the most valuable value chain. You know, we talk about value chain work. I do a lot of work on agribusiness value chains, but really excited to look at this aqua business value chain. When you look at it here globally, you can see that sales are generating over $400 billion a year. 10 to 12% of the population earn a living from this sector, and 90% of seafood is produced for human consumption, and 37% is a contribution from coastal aquaculture and mariculture into the aquaculture space. So it's a very big sector and really demands a lot of looking into, a lot of research, a lot of alignment, because there's a lot of potential here on many aspects. Next slide, yeah. So aquaculture is talking about the strong economic and social impact. In this area, you know, we're looking at the global aquacultural production of 122.6 million tons at a value of $281 million. 58.5 million people are engaged in the primary production sector as full or part-time workers. So this is an area which is very central to the work of the World Bank, is job creation, as well as, of course, women that account for 21% who are engaged in this primary sector, and also looking at 600 million livelihoods depending at least partially on fisheries and aquaculture. So this is an area of generation of a huge amount of financial flows, into various systems, but also want to stress, of course, that we look at aquaculture as a strong area of nutrition across the world, particularly in the emerging economies. We're looking, of course, to engage commercial investors and, of course, looking very strongly at public sector interventions. Very important for us at the World Bank as we do this analytics. We're trying to inform our operations. Where are the opportunities to invest? How do we build a much larger, stronger portfolio around the aquaculture, aquabusiness space? So the first area, we got 5 components. I'm going to go very briefly so that I can get Harrison to have plenty of time to talk about what we're here for in terms of Seaweed. So we're working here with the International Finance Corporation and, of course, the World Bank. We're coming together to do national and regional studies to assess the readiness, the opportunities for investment. This includes, of course, looking at the policy environment where many private sector, commercial sector companies struggle in emerging economies. Getting that public sector policy framework right to encourage investment. So this is a big area for us on investment climate and opportunities. The next area we're looking at here, and this is another piece of work that's going to come out from our operations, from this analytical work, from this study, early next year, early 2024. We've been very, very concerned about the weak approach to the SME development of the aquabusiness development sector. The SME, the small medium enterprises, smallholder production, is really the backbone of this work. We think a lot about large commercial operations, but we've got to realize in the sort of domestic markets and also connecting to regional markets, that is really about SME development in many of the countries that the World Bank operates in.
So one of the things that I believe needs to happen is that there needs to be a cohesiveness, a workshop of all the government entities put together so that they can understand each other and what they provide. As far as being, the country choosing who they can invest in, who should invest in the country. This is an infant industry in which we're participating in. We're the first company on mainland Tanzania to do anything of the sort as far as seaweed processing is concerned. However, there is absolutely no kind of incentive, no tax holiday, no kind of support. And what I would like the panelists to please share is, as far as a small and medium enterprise investing foreign direct investments into Tanzania to achieve economic transformation in Tanzania, what is that outlook? What does that look like for you? Because we know from the recession from 2008 that it is small and medium enterprises that grows economies, not large enterprises. When there are problems, the large enterprises pull out. Please, thank you.
Thank you very much.
And other countries, they're approaching the World Bank and saying, how can you help us really strengthen that sector and create really strong, viable, long-term investments? And these can be, public-private partnerships. It can be also very strong investments from the bank through to the government. And if we look at the next sector that we're working on here, number 4, we call this advisory services. We're very, very keen to engage the private sector. So IFC, the International Finance Corporation, has a very strong advisory services unit, which connects to its investment unit. And what they do is they help strengthen and support emerging and existing clients to scale up investments. So we're in the process now of selecting 5 key clients of the World Bank that want to invest in aquabusiness, aquaculture within emerging and middle-income countries to help strengthen them to basically look and invest and bring to scale. So these are very key components of our work. Now, the last sector is basically why we're here today. We've launched this study on new markets for seaweed value chains. And the aim of this study is to examine both freshwater and mariculture value chains, identify new markets for a modern and upscaled seaweed industry, and identify mechanisms for new growth operations. And I'm going to be handing that just momentarily to Harrison. But I really want to stress here, we're not just here to talk about seaweed for human consumption. We're trying to look at seaweed for multiple uses, multiple investment opportunities, and really look at it as a product, as a commodity that we can really invest in.
Now, the aim of this report was principally to analyze the commercial opportunity for new growth market applications, and also to look at the scale of how to can increase the scale of cultivation, and also issues of value-added seaweed processing. Those are the principle. But we could not ignore other things like the provision of industrial, socio-economic, and environmental benefits that come from using of seaweed. Then also we assessed the technologies needed to grow more seaweed, extract increasingly valuable compounds, and create ready-to-scale quality products for a range of markets. As we talk about these new emerging markets, we're also talking about the possibility for us to actually upscale some of these emerging applications. Next, Vivek. So the report has identified 10 global seaweed markets with the potential for it to bring in an additional 11.8 billion US dollars by the year 2030. New and emerging markets are divided into, you can see down there, short-term, medium-term, and long-term, for the purpose of describing those that can be taken up immediately without much, that don't need much research to work on. And those ones are what we call the biostimulants, the animal feed, the pet food. You will see that we have some numbers within each of those boxes. Those boxes, they are there to show the size of the market. Then we had animal feed additives. This is another area that is quite almost easy to take up. It is giving it as 1.1 billion worth of seaweed. Of seaweed and additional value. And then we have the pet feed. Pet feed is now, of course, this is a big thing across the world. In US, we have a lot of pets, and many other countries, it's growing. And so this is also another one that can give us quite a heavy, contribution. So these are and then there was another one that is quite interesting, related to the issue of methane reduction. Now, this is what we call the methane additives, reduction additives, which you might have heard that there is now an effort to use some of the species, especially one that is called Asparagopsis, that when you put 20% of it into a feed, it actually reduces the methane reduction by livestock like cows by almost 80%. So this is, people have patented this, company has patented this, but again, it is something that is out there, not very much into the future. It is already, some people are looking at it as a potential thing. Nutraceuticals, this is a big contributor here, $4 billion worth. This is another area that is also catching up very quickly. It's a medium term because there are still some regulatory issues that need to be taken care of for it to be fully realized. Then alternative proteins, quite an important aspect here because of for the need for other proteins that are plant-based proteins. So seaweed is also contributing this, say around $500 million worth, and others that are in the medium term, fabrics and also bioplastics. Now, these fabrics and bioplastics, these are important things because of the fact that there's a lot of plastic use in both fabrics and bioplastics, and so we want to to see how we can replace the plastics with more organic compounds, like so by infusing this into fabrics and plastics. Then there's one there you will see it is there are no numbers in it. It's pharmaceutical. It's a long-term issue again. Issues of regulations are not very clear on pharmaceuticals, and there's a lot of work to be done also on issues of quality control.
Recognizing that dried sea moss has a limited time in which it will dominate the market, we decided to become innovative and create products using quality sea moss that will fit into the consumer's everyday life. Our product range demonstrates the versatility of sea moss as not only a consumable for food products, but also skincare, hair care, and nutraceuticals. With the African American consumer spend of $6.6 billion US dollars On hair care and skin care ethnic products, our CMOS ethnic beauty line creates a strong alternative Our CMOS-based food products includes marmalades, jams, gels, drinks, smoothies, and sorbets. We, the East Africa Seaweed Company, go the extra mile to demonstrate that CMOS is a viable food source. The East Africa Seaweed Company has a strategic alliance with the World Wildlife Fund to support thousands of seaweed farmers in remote coastal villages that require our assistance to export their products to the international market.
Now, the new application that we mentioned here, they are based basically on the composition of and characterization of these different seaweed species. We have, and this I'm going to move very quickly. We have lipids, pigments that are useful for different purposes. We have protein. The protein content here is 5 to 35%. Again, this is very, very wide because different species are very different in the outlook. We have vitamins, vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, and others. The ash content can also be quite daunting, 10 to 50%. This is not always a good thing because this is potentially a problem that will affect the capacity to process this seaweed. Then we also have quite a good amount of carbohydrates, that 5 to 74%, that will be useful for different purposes. And this is why we get our carrageenans and alginates. Then 80 to 90% of the seaweed is basically water. Now, this has an implication on how the seaweed can be marketed. So it requires a lot of drying. And when you dry, this comes to 10 to 20%. But most of the time, there's an attempt to take seaweed away from the producers. And then there's a lot of incurring of expenses because you are carrying actually things that you're carrying a lot of water in that case. Then, of course, the last one is polyphenols and flavonoids, bromophenols and terpenoids. These are very important when it comes to pharmaceuticals and the nutraceuticals as well.
HIV, killer cell lines, HIV, hepatitis, Klebsiella pneumoniae, Salmonella, E. coli, Bacillus, SARS-CoV-2 and COVID-19, colorectal adenocarcinoma cells, leukemia and womb and herpes 1 and 2. This comes from the Sea of Tanzania. So it is very effective and powerful. However, that is not known about it. Very little is known about it. So in our restaurants, we use it for preparing salads, drinks, juices, so that people can have the nutrient benefit of it. The goal of our company is for nutrition. So it has a lot of nutritional value if we focus on the nutritional content of it.
They are affecting all the new and emerging market applications, obviously, but also they are affecting the traditional market that we didn't talk about today. So therefore, I think there's a big challenge across the board that we need to think about how we can increase these markets. I mean, the biomass, the production scale, to ensure that these markets actually can happen. And I mean, we extrapolated 11.8 billion worth of seaweed, but it all depends on how we can actually start producing more seaweed. Monetization of seaweed's potential to provide ecosystem services. This is an important issue. It requires certification and credit schemes. It also requires robust monitoring, reporting, and verification. Right now, we have a lot of work to do in trying to look at certification standards and also to ensure that we collect the right data for these schemes to work. So I think that is in a nutshell the conclusion of this matter. That we need to to work harder, produce more, and ensure that these credit schemes can be brought to work. And I want to finalize this by saying that because of the urgency of this number of seaweeds, the fact that we are dealing with very few seaweed at farm level, it is important to really bring together some consortium that will be able to, look at this seaweed wholesale. There are quite a number of differences with the seaweed that is done in Europe, the one that is done in Southeast Asia, and so on, from what is done in Africa and so on. So this is really critical for us to be able to look critically and bring science into play, bring everybody together, and ensure that we can produce a satisfying situation for the farmers and all those who are keen on investing into
Are
seaweed.
signatories to the United Nations Social Development Goal, recognizing sea moss as a social development tool for women and girls. Our activities also supports the World Bank's Blue Economy's resilient coastal communities by creating jobs, reducing poverty, and ending hunger. Finally, after almost 2 years of struggling and trying to develop the seaweed economy in Tanzania, we had a visit from the World Bank. This visit was extremely important because it placed us in connections with key players around the world, funders, and those who understand the industry intimately. This visit also recognizes us as a legitimate entity doing the work necessary to support the seaweed farmers and export seaweed worldwide. This visit also recognizes our scalability and readiness for investment. Our company is ready for serious investors. Are you ready to make serious money? Indeed, it is the early stage angel investor who stands to gain the most by investing in new and promising companies like the East Africa Seaweed Company. We are currently seeking an intelligent, experienced, and business-savvy angel investor to provide funding, guidance, and mentorship as we navigate our CMOS processing and export strategy. If you're prepared to join the smart investors already investing in Africa, in the most profitable region in the world, in one of the most lucrative industries in the world, in one of the most innovative companies in Tanzania, with a bright and promising future, go ahead and send us a message. We are currently hosting angel investors meetings every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. Until we find the right investors to close on our Series A needs. There will be an attendance fee because we will be discussing strategies and processes unique to our specific company. Please send us an email for the next available date that you would like to attend.